welcome to FluxMotorsport's first LMP2 Championship round of the season. We're here at Dubai Autodrome on the Grand Prix circuit. Seems like it's going to be quite an interesting race today. It's going to be pretty hot, and tyre wear is definitely going to be an issue, I think, today. I think temperatures are about 28 degrees, give or take a bit. Just running around here with Bruce Law for a bit, and it looks like Chris M Sport's already got a one-place grid penalty there for pit lane speeding, I presume. So that's definitely going to hinder him a bit in the race if he can't get a decent qualifying in here. And I'm joined alongside Alex, aka the Console.
Good evening, mate.
Evening.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
No problem. It's always a pleasure.
Split the load, mate. Split the load. So, what are your race predictions for this one? I've heard a few of the guys talking a little bit about the heat and fuel depletion going to be a bit of a problem.
Yeah, a lot of the guys. A lot of the guys have been doing quite a bit of practice on that, haven't they? I reckon, obviously, Bruce Law is going to be a major contender again. He absolutely ran away with it last season. And but Tyjo and Immortalis weren't too far behind. They had a pretty close battle all season. So those three were pretty capable drivers, definitely. And also got a few new names. We've got people like 074 Leggy, Pogo Mojo, Tibev, Porscheman, Carboy and DJ Leggy are all new to the championship this season. So going to be interesting to see what they can bring to the table.
And you're right, mate, it is a very stacked grid. You've got both the legends in here, Immortalis, and Lecky is one not to be written out in the LMP2s either. This is going to be as close, I think, as it's been yet, but as you rightly said, Bruce is an absolute animal in these machines. Anything high downforce, Bruce does well in, and he'll be looking to continue the form from last season. So he's definitely got to be, I think, a bit of a favourite, but the rest of the guys, I wouldn't write them out just yet.
Yeah, as you say, Bruce, very good in these LMP2 cars. It seems like, as you say before, fuel and tyre wear is going to be a major factor today. I've heard some of the guys saying that it's actually impossible to get to the end of the race on even on a full tank of fuel. So we're definitely going to see at least one pit stop, maybe two, depending on how bad the tyre wear is today.
Absolutely, and I think it'd be interesting to see if the Marek, and if I know Lecky's probably sitting in one, whether that will actually make it to the end on fuel, and whether it will be the tyres will be the biggest problem for him. So I think you're right. I think we're going to see at least one stop from most people, and I reckon a few will probably opt for tyres as well, which we don't normally see.
Yeah, it's usually in these quite short 45-minute races. It's usually, most of the time, it's a no stop, especially in these LMP2s. The tyre wear usually isn't too bad. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Yeah. And I think whilst we're in qualifying, we might as well have a look down the grid. So at the moment in pole position we have Bruce with a 1:43.9, very good time. Only a tenth behind him at the moment is Immortalis in that lovely red and black number 69 car. Then 2 seconds behind, quite a big gap behind, is 074 Leggy in number 43. Tyjo, only 2 tenths behind 074 in the number 35. Lovely livery there, I've got to say, the pink and black, very nice. Dirk Diggler, another 2 tenths behind Tyjo there, in what looks like almost a McLaren inspired LMP2 car, that does. Chris M Sport behind, another 2 tenths. Seems like 2 tenths seems to be a standard gap here. Yeah. DJ Leggy behind again, another 2 tenths behind there. Really strange livery that one. I think nice GT Omega sponsor on the side there. McToasty, 8th place at the moment. Finally, a bit of a mix up here. 3 tenths behind this time. That lovely black livery that I think Tyjo ran last season, I believe. Tibev, number 68 car there, red and black again. Pogo, who's in the pits at the moment, so we can't see his car. Porsche man, 12th at the moment, in the white and black number 8. Mark, who at the moment hasn't set a time, in that lovely number 84. DCFC fan, again hasn't set a time yet. Spunkmeyer, 1001, still hasn't set a time. And Lucky 2000 also hasn't set a time yet. So let's jump on board Bruce, shall we? Right? See what kind of lines he's been taking. So as you can see, getting as wide as possible on the exits. Really trying to make up some time for those exits, because these cars very quick in a straight line sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely right, and they make up a lot of their time in the corners, utilising as much of the downforce as possible and not scrubbing off any speed whatsoever. You'll see Immortalis getting through this very last, this difficult last section here. It sort of sweeps around a very late apex, almost later than you'd like. And this final corner here is almost the same. You end up braking somewhere near the 50 board, throwing it in and having to wait for the car to rotate before you can get all the horses down to utilise the power down this big stretch into turn 1. I expect a lot of overtaking to be done here. People getting the run on the last corner, coming into turn 1 and braking late on the inside, because there's the camera of the corner will be able to hang it on the inside. So that's definitely going to be a hot spot before we go through this windy stuff here.
It is a horrible corner, this one. Double apex to right-hander. Absolutely horrible.
This is the one that cooks the tyres just in time for that long left-hander. There it is.
There we go. It's a lot easier though in these cars than it would be in some of the slower cars. I know last year, last season, the touring cars were racing around here. I think that was the international circuit?
Yes.
Yes, which had kind of missed out that horrible first sector corners, and their tyres were bad enough there. So I can imagine it's going to be even worse in these cars.
The other thing to keep in mind, viewers, is that it is going to be clear weather. I think maybe a sprinkling of little light clouds, Jack?
No, it's clear all the way, yeah.
So it's going to be sunshine to the end, so the tyres are not going to get a break. It's just going to be hot and then followed by more hot. So drivers are going to be opening up all the brake ducts, all the engine ducts, as much as they can to try and cool their cars down to avoid any sort of unnecessary engine damage. I think it's quite a cruel track to start them off on, mate.
You know, trying to start off with a bang.
That's it, mate. That's it.
Yeah. So at the moment, Bruce Law set an amazing time for 1:43.1. Immortalis though doing a really good job with only about 2 tenths behind him, and then it seems to fall back a lot more to Tib, who's then 7 tenths behind, and it falls back even more to 74 Leggy, who is now about 1.8 seconds behind Tib. And then it seems to be quite close there in the mid-pack. We could expect some quite close racing between them in the race.
I hope so, and it's good to see Immortalis and Tibby be able to get up there and get within. I mean, Tibby's within 1 second of Bruce, and Immortalis really on the back of Bruce. So Bruce not quite going to run away with it, probably quite as much as he'd like. But you're absolutely right. That mid-pack, looking from sort of 6th down to about McToasty in 9th, looks pretty stacked. I think we're going to see a lot of chopping and changing happen there in the last sort of 10 minutes of quality.
And of course, with the horrible tyres comes strategy as well. But is it better to pit early, pit late? You know, overcuts, undercuts are definitely going to be happening, I think, in the race.
It's a tough one to call. Real tough one. I think if it was me, I would probably put the hard tyres on, knowing that I'm going to have to pit for fuel anyway, and drive as far into the race as I could, and then make a decision on tyres in the race, depending on how long was left. Maybe switch to the softs to get that sort of final sprint if it was only a short way to go. But there are benefits to stopping early if you can obviously wear off the tyres just enough and change and get fresh rubbers on straight to the end. You can make up some time through the pack as everyone else starts to pit. So I think we're going to see a number of people tackle it different ways.
Yeah, I think another factor as well, just add on top of that huge list of things that's going to make this an exciting race, is the fact that pretty much all these cars are identical. They are pretty much all running Ligier Nissans, apart from, I think the only difference is Mark, who's running the Ligier Honda, I believe. Which is, I think, yeah, you can sort of tell the difference, I think, in the sound of the engine. And it probably won't make too much of a difference, but it's nice to see there's a little bit of a difference happening in the pack.
Just seeing people jump in from the YouTube comments now. We've got Mia piping up. Welcome to the stream, Mia. She's saying, been a while. LMP2. Normally she was hosted last season. She says, hoping Immortalis can beat Bruce. Saw him do it last season in a couple of races. So Bruce not unbeatable then? No,
he certainly isn't. I mean, obviously you've got Immortalis, who seems to be running very close to him at the moment in qualifying. And Tidro as well isn't too partial of a podium or even a win every now and then in these cars, and they could be real challenges for Bruce's runaway lead that we had last season. Ooh, Tidro warmed up the tyres a bit. I don't know if he needs to be doing that much around this track.
That's brave. He obviously knows something we don't.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is with 6 minutes left to go. 6 minutes left to go. Lecky still hasn't put a time in.
Nah.
But he is out on track now before he was in the pits, and that definitely sounds like a Marek.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how he's going to do on fuel.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting because, as you say, that Marek's quite a different car actually to Ligier's. I didn't realise he was running a Marek until you just told me then, but he's always liked that car, to be fair. And he definitely he ran it last season and he was pretty decent in it, although it is very track dependent, I have to say.
He does enjoy a dirty diesel, that's why.
I mean, who doesn't?
The only reason.
But I think last season it was absolutely amazing on some tracks, but on others it tended to struggle quite a bit. And so it'll be interesting this season to see whether or not he'll do well around these tracks, because we have quite a few obscure tracks on the calendar. We've got the Zuhai after this. Sakito's definitely going to be another one to watch for tyres with those chicanes in the first sector. Then we have Sportsan Sugo, Bathurst, which is going to be very interesting with these very wide cars on, especially at the top of the hill in that track. Then it's Kota GP, Indianapolis Road, and to finish off the season it's Daytona Road.
Very nice. That's going to definitely mix it up for Mr. Leck. The Marek not known for getting out of the corners too well. Its gear ratio is a little bit strange. You can almost hear it as you exit the corners. The revs aren't always there if you get it wrong. But being the diesel, it does seem to do well at high altitude tracks. So definitely one to watch.
Yeah, definitely. Ooh, Lucky getting a bit squiggly there on the exit of that corner. So he comes round to the last corner now. See if he can put a decent time in. As he comes across the line, what's it going to be? So only a 150.7. That's quite low down the grid.
Especially for Lecky, he's got a lot of work to do. He's not left himself a massive amount of time, and that's not going to help.
That's going to cook the rears.
Feeling the pressure, there he is.
Meanwhile, let's hop back on board with Bruce. See how he's doing. Look at that, absolutely nailing those apexes.
And we've seen this sort of form from Bruce before, just super clean, super tidy, everything nice and calm. Whether it's actually looking like that at home in his rig is a different matter, but it certainly looks like that to us here.
Yeah. He's not only quick, but he's consistent as well, which helps him a lot in the race. Ooh, getting nice and wide on that exit there, trying to carry as much speed out of the corner as he possibly can. As we head into this quite slow right-hander, bit of a nice corner that one, to be fair, for the tyres, not too bad. And there we go. Ooh, bit of a oversteer there. Had to correct it a little. As we head down this little kink, the straight that isn't straight, as they'd say. Again, warming up the tyres. It seems like actually they're not getting that warm, just driving normally.
I think it's more time running out. They're not getting quite as much heat as you'd like for one lap, but I think they were definitely warm enough in the race.
Yeah. And it seems that I've just been disconnected from the session. I'm not sure what's happened here.
That is certainly different.
It's certainly that's not happened before. Well, that was strange.
Are you back? Are you with us, or have you been taken to another land?
I've been taken to another land. The main menu.
Wow. Okay. Please bear with us for just a second. When we get that shit. We will be back with you in just a second.